What's up, everybody? This is Super Mike 2164. Press the like, press the share. We're going to do this room real quick. We have an update in Tulsa program. It's an update. It's an update. All right, y'all. This is Super Mike 2164. We're going to talk about the Tulsa real estate fund. There's an update in the fund, and I wanted to pass that on to you guys. There's always controversy dealing with investments, and I just think this is very important. What's going on, Brother Speak? What's up, Brother Speak? I think this is super, super duper important because guess what? Black folks, a lot of times we think we're so right about something. We argue and listen to idiots tell us, but you're not actually doing the work to try to actually educate yourself to see if you're right, to verify if you're right. So the Tulsa real estate program. So this is a program. Basically, it was a fund, a crowd fund. Was very popular in the Black community. And why was it popular? Because the fund organizer did the job, and he actually set the company up in a well-regulated manner. That's what he did. People don't want to admit that because, when people seek power, they start to get hate. Once you're in control, then now people are protesting against you. Black folks, we're so used to being the one to protest against others. But we don't want to be in control subconsciously. A lot of us don't want to be in control because now it means that people, to get their way, they come into you for change. And if you don't do what they say, they're wanting to protest against you. Now, keep in mind here, I've never defended wrongdoing. I'm not going to defend ineptitude and failure. But what I am defending here is the fact that Black people, because we are so discriminated against in every manner, we have to start learning how to control and organize and run our own stuff. To run your own stuff, you're going to have some degree of patience as your leadership, as your proper leadership develops. It's going to develop through a process of failure. Failure is different from fraud. This is what we got to understand. So I'm going to let a white man tell you, but because I know y'all don't, listen to me. Y'all don't listen to even damn PhDs, Black ones. Y'all listen to attorneys that don't even know what the hell they're talking about. Y'all listen to political commentators who get jobs from PhDs. They want to listen to somebody who's a disgruntled employee, Michi X. How you gonna listen to Michi X about finances? This broke failure. She fails at everything. She can't even organize a convention. Don't listen to Michi X about business. Don't listen to Yvette Carnell about some business. Tone talks. This man has some type of emotional problem and issue with everybody black that's making some money. Too much. Oh, we ain't getting no money. We ain't getting no money. That's who black folks listen to. So, in the new development in the Tulsa real estate, situation is, keep in mind, Jay Morrison has made mistakes. First of all, this is the reason why I defend Tulsa. And I'm actually going back to a video. I was talking to a brother online who was, bragging, he was, trashing Tulsa real estate program and things like that. So of course, I defend Tulsa, and I'm proud to defend Tulsa. I'm proud that I invested. I mean, the money at this point looks lost as far as the investment portion of the money. But that wasn't my whole reason for investment, because there's so many other investments you can make to make money. This is an investment for black people to start actually learning how to control big business banks. That's where your money, the banker is the controller of your community. That's how gentrification is possible, because you don't know how to run stuff and you don't know how to build it from the ground up. So I'm gonna show this real quick. I just want to show. Actually, I wanted to go to the brother's video that I was commenting on. Let me see, but I'm not gonna be able to see it right now. So, hold on a second. Maybe I can't see it. Let me see if I can find his comments, because I want to deal with some of this brother's comments, because people think that they got you. Oh, I got you now. Look at this. Even Julian Gordon. Now, Julian Gordon, I do respect Julian Gordon. I'll actually learn from Julian here. Is this it? No, not that one. I actually learned from Julian Gordon. He specializes in teaching people how to invest and acquire multifamily properties first, because the multifamily property, once you get it, it can actually pay for itself and give you a little extra. And if you keep getting those multifamily properties, let's see, I'm trying to find this dude's video. If you keep getting those multifamily properties, then that actually builds up your retirement, and it builds up a nice stream of income for you. Julian Gordon, he actually teaches some real good strategies. Now, keep in mind, a lot of people think these type of business classes are fake and fraud, and the classes itself is something, is just scammy. Y'all, because y'all listen, a lot of y'all that ain't trying to do nothing. Y'all just go to buy a house and just sign whatever them people tell you to sign. You don't understand none of that stuff. Well, this is what these classes are doing. They're teaching you actually how to understand all that stuff, and how you can ask questions, where you can make your deal at, where you can say, you know what, I need this, percentage rate on this, or I don't want to pay this origination fee, or I want to get rid of this fee or that fee, because you don't understand any of that stuff. You just be signing. And they love y'all. That's why they want to keep black folks that dumb, because you don't know. You don't even know how to ask a question, and you're proud of it. Some of y'all, I'm not gonna be able to find this man's thing. Some of y'all is proud of it, but all right. So what I'm gonna do is, and like I said, this is gonna actually be pretty quick, because I just want to get this update. Yeah, head nigga in charge syndrome, exactly. But let me get this update, and yeah, y'all make sure y'all go to Brother Speaks podcast. He put some very insightful, information out there. He keeps up on, some of the YouTube things, which are very influential conversations. We'd be surprised of how influential, and these little conversations that happen on YouTube, people don't understand because they think it's just a game, because everything that we do, we think that it ain't nothing. And then it takes like 20 and 30 and 40 years. And then other generations say, I grew up listening to you. And then we start realizing, wow, that little stupid stuff that I was saying, it actually had an impact. That's why we still pulling up stuff from 50 years ago and 60 years ago that people just was saying real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because this stuff that, there's a big deception out here, especially among Black people, that your opinion doesn't matter. That right there is actually a factual lie, because especially if we go in science, because matter is material. Your opinion actually does create opinion material, because you can actually energize your belief in your opinion, and you can create something that's real based on your opinion, based on your ideas. And that's kind of what we're starting to realize, that our thoughts, our ideas, our opinions, our perceptions actually kind of dictate our future, our directions, and it actually affects other people. So we've been told that, all that stuff don't matter. So y'all niggas just do what we tell you, because your opinion don't matter. You're just a little nigger anyway. It matters not. You don't matter. If your opinion don't matter, that means you don't matter. And that's just not true. So let's look at this real quick. I want to let some white people tell y'all something so that y'all can believe it. Because y'all still trained not to believe things that comes out of Black faces. It's hard. It's very difficult to change it if even if you've been trained to not believe a truth just because it came from Black people, you still don't believe it. Because Black folks said it. Y'all don't know nothing. So let's let this white man tell you some stuff. So let's look.
Figure them out.
So here it is: Rock Center crowdfunding, the new age of venture capital, or an invitation to fraud or and disaster. So these are very smart white people, and it's an Indian too. Yeah, Stanford Law School. This was 10 years ago. They were having this conversation. February 2013. Obama was the president. They were talking about the law that allowed Tulsa Real Estate Fund, that allowed the fund called Fundrise. It allowed these crowdfunding from investors, ask for funding from angel investors directly. See, these are passive real estate, earn passive. That's simple. These are crowd funds here. These are websites. They regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission. This is a governmental regulated body. Okay. Notice that Jay Morrison is not in jail. Why? Because this is how it goes. Okay. Now, solar, you can invest in solar. These are crowdfunding. So this is like $1 billion now. Well, what's this? $100 million. And these people have returned 12. They're bragging on their returns. So these are the type of things. If y'all start learning about, Black folks start learning about crowdfunding, group economics, then you can get something. You can control something. But if y'all so scared, y'all go crazy in listening to damn idiots. Okay, so I'm just showing y'all this. People are doing this. This is where y'all getting y'all jobs from, a lot of y'all. People got to go out and build this stuff. Then the solar comes in, they sell the electricity back. These are funds. And guess what? When you put your money in, you can't just take it right out. That's how it is. That's the regulation. You can't just put your money in. It's not a stock. So, and then we going, and here's Trev. This is our strategy. This is the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. It is a excuse me. It is a regulated fund. It is a government investigative fund. And it is a black people investigative fund and black controlled. Is it perfect? No. Is it managed properly? We're going to see. I don't believe right now it's not managed correctly. But these are the problems that is ours to deal with. See, that's the issue about having problems and not just checking out just because there's a problem. You fix a problem. Yeah, BMT. Yep, just check it out. I'm gonna let you listen. Hold on, real quick. I'm gonna let you listen to what the white man say. Hold on a second. It ain't just so these people were talking about that stuff. They were talking about this law that was going to allow this to happen. And I just want you to listen to a couple minutes of this.
For small businesses in the country, more efficient, more effective. There are lots of risks, and we need to figure them out. We need to protect both investors and startups, absolutely. But we're at the early innings, I would argue, of a transformation.
And I agree, there's going to be a tremendous transformation of the capital formation process because of the internet. But I would wager it's not going to look like the crowdfunding provision of the Jobs Act. What we're going to come up with will be something very different that will look more like what you're doing at Circle Up and what Naval is doing at AngelList than like the model that Congress. I mean, do you really trust Congress to be the venture capitalist for America? I have my doubts. I'd rather have you, Rory, and you, Naval, come up with the models that might work than the people that are driving us.
So let me tell you why I think even the downside scenario, and I actually think the answer depends a lot on how the SEC writes the rules. And there's also this big question of when. My guess is they'll punt it as long as possible to the next commissioner. But I think the downside is mitigated not just by the caps, but also by the fact that in this day and age of the internet, it's actually pretty hard to pull off outright fraud.
All right, so now this is the part I really wanted y'all to hear. Now listen to what he's saying. He's saying that it's hard to pull out outright fraud. Now this is what a lot of y'all accusing Jay Morrison and the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, because it's black, really. That's the only reason why y'all are doing that, because they're black. And y'all not used to black people having anything. Y'all think that you're supposed to be a criminal, because that's probably what y'all thinking. But this man is saying it's hard to do fraud in this way. So just listen and see what you think about it.
And the easy way to see that is Kickstarter. So Kickstarter doesn't have the greed element. You don't feel like you're going to make $1 million investing in a company in Kickstarter, so it doesn't draw as much greed capital. Yet Kickstarter moved, I think it was $320 million last year, all online, no physical meetings involved. And it's pretty easy for me to come up with ways that I think I could scam Kickstarter, where I could create a fake identity, a fake $1 million campaign, pull in lots of $50, $100 contributions or whatever, and then make off with the money. But in reality, I don't think there's a single actual recorded case of actual fraud on Kickstarter. Or if there was, Kickstarter did a great job covering it up.
Very, very important point. And to follow up on that point, let me ask everybody a question to everyone in this room.
Listen to his question. Do you have your Pebble?
How many of you have your Pebble? No, absolutely not. And I'm not suggesting that failure is fraud, okay? But let me ask the question. How many of you have your Pebble?
Okay, actually, what is the fine line between failure and fraud? If you don't try very hard, is that how you define it as fraud?
Well, no. Listen.
What if the risk is I'm going to sit on my butt all day long, not do any work?
I am the first person in the world to support the right to engage in honest failures. All right, but here's some questions that need to be asked, and here's some observations. The failure rate, and I'm not saying the fraud rate, there's a big difference. The failure rate on Kickstarter appears to be large enough, high enough, that Kickstarter has, without any pressure from the government, changed its policies.
So I wanted y'all to get that part, and I'm not going to go too much into it, but failure is not fraud. That's all I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Failure and fraud is two different things. I already told you who these people was, but we can go back. It's right here on the YouTube. You can listen to this whole thing yourself. These are Stanford law professors. These are business owners. This Stanford law professor, this guy, what's his name? Grunfest, Joe Grunfest. That's who you're looking at right there. He's a Stanford Law professor. Stanford Law people, they are the ones that teach the Silicon Valley folks. That's what you're looking at here. These are the people who are talking about this. They're talking 10 years ago about these type of crowd funds. This is the part of business that most black folks have never even seen. This is the reason why y'all going crazy. He's going to also tell you that losing money is part of it. This is what people need to understand. Failure and fraud are two different things. When you call people a fraud, just because but you can see that they made an honest, not you, Joe, not you, James. We're talking, there's people out here that they're so triggered because some money was lost, $12 million. And it's not all lost, but they just feel like it's lost because there's less cash available in the fund. And that's what they feel that's lost. But it's not. That's what's up. And the thing is, the more of us can understand that, the more projects we can actually do. Now, this is how these people, like I said, this is how these people run jobs and they make money, because they know that they can do their due diligence. These are very smart people. They can do their due diligence, but you're still going to have a failure rate. This man said the failure rate was 60%.
So unless there's some sort of checklist the SEC can provide saying, if you go through this checklist, then you're protected against liability, then I don't see why any good company would use it, because they might have directors sitting on their board who are millionaires or multimillionaires.
Now, he did say that it needs to be a board. Now, that's something that the Tulsa Fund doesn't have. So that's not really good.
Too much personal exposure. So it comes back to that stat Joe threw out, which is, I think, basically investors have to understand that most of these companies are going to fail. They have to develop a nose for due diligence. They have to work with good offline investors. And then if there's any adverse selection on either on the platforms, because the platforms are taking a fee, or on the curation, or because of the law, or because of disclosure requirements, or because of liability requirements, then we'll all lose money the old-fashioned way, just by picking bad bets.
But bottom line, you guys are having success working within the current model with accrediting the.
All right, so I just wanted y'all to see that these people are talking about that. Y'all can look at this whole thing if you want to. I can actually put it in the chat if you care to look at stuff. It is kind of boring, but I mean, it's interesting compared to what we. I mean, this is something that I think is really important, because we can't do anything when black folks are scared to put in the money, because you always got to depend on other people to put in money, and they're going to run it. When they put in the money, they're going to control it. So let's look at this one here. So now the update in the Tulsa issue, you got Julian Gordon here, which is the largest investor in Tulsa real estate. Julian Gordon is the largest investor in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. He invested $40,000. He invested $40,000 in the fund. He can't get his money back either. That's the nature of the investment. So when you're talking about fraud, now keep in mind, this man is a real estate investor, and he is a teacher. So he does the same thing as Jay Morrison. That's Julian Gordon, is one of his little young pictures. This is Julian. So he does the same thing as Jay Morrison. Now, this right here is not like Tone Talks, Yvette Carnell, or Michi X. This is a man who knows how to make money in real estate. So when he criticizes, he's doing business. He's not criticizing in a manner that's like crazy and stupid, ignorant. He actually has talked to Jay Morrison. He tried to do this behind the scenes, but this is a professional matter of criticizing. So let's look at this real quick.
recommendations for the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. I prayed long and hard about doing this and doing it publicly, and I realized that I'm the most qualified and perhaps the only person who could do it due to one, being the lead investor in the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, two, a fellow developer, three, a peer to Jay Morrison in the real estate education industry, and four, a friend offline. Scripture says, go to your brother directly in private, and I've attempted to do so through text messages. I've requested a meeting since July 31st, and no commitment has been made. Of course, I finally got a call from him 1 hour after last night's Instagram post announcing this speech. But I was in the middle of teaching a class, so I could not answer. Even if I talked to Jay, I would still have to share what I see with the 15,000 other investors in the fund. This is simply an accountability call. People have asked, will Jay be there? The truth is, the speech is not primarily for Jay. It is for the 15,000 investors in the fund. If there was a way for me to only gather and speak to the 15,000 without going public on social media, I would have done that. But there isn't any way that I can connect with them but to go broad.
So that lets you know that this man right here is actually trying to solve the problem. He's not trying to just scream and holler. He's not just really screaming and holler. He's actually trying to solve the problem. He's frustrated, though. He's got $40,000 in the game, but he's actually trying to solve the problem and do something to, fix it. He's got actual solutions and recommendations.
In terms of money that he's borrowing from the fund, right, on loans. So he's borrowing from the fund himself at extremely low interest rates. And I don't know if there's been a penalty applied to the fact that it was a 1-year loan, yet it's still outstanding. Treff leases space to Jay Morrison Academy for $3,763 per month. I'm unable to verify if that is market rate rent for the space used. I'm sure that does not cover the new mortgage on the building. I have fourplexes that generate more rental revenue than that. These blurred lines seem to primarily benefit Jay Morrison's interests and not the Treff investors. It seems as though Treff has become a petty cash account for Jay to buy his office, his wife a studio, his new single-family home, and pay his friends on the backs of the people. Issue number 5, weak path forward. On the most recent Treff Talk for investors, Jay Morrison compares Treff's early year losses to technology companies like Facebook, saying that they take years to get to profitability. Technology's methodology does not apply to a real estate fund. In real estate, you win on the buy, and Jay should know that. The issue is that the fund hasn't bought much beyond the Legacy Center. $8 million could have been leveraged into at least a $30 million real estate portfolio over 5 years. The transactional funding seems to be the only way out. Otherwise, the fund is almost bankrupt within 12 months. We can't eat another year of $1 million plus losses or GMA expenses.
So right there, he's telling recommendations. He's saying that Jay is mismanaging the money. He's saying that from that point that this fund should be worth at least $30 million. So, like I said, this is, y'all can go watch his critique. This is Julian Gordon. He's actually, very smart. And, that's something that you can learn from. He has a lot of other videos on his little platform there. But the point is, he's giving a real honest critique. Now, there's a lot of people that say that Boyce Watkins, because see, when black folks, what happens is you get these people and they start trying to take their little revenge out. It's not about actually solving a problem. It's about taking their revenge out. So because Boyce Watkins talked to Jay Morrison, people are saying Boyce Watkins needs to, be accountable and criminally held liable or something like that. For what? He put $10,000 in it too. Everybody is in on it who invested. Everybody's in on it. And then the thing is, you think that, but the thing is, you got to realize, see, that's where failure turns to fraud. This is what he's looking, and this is what Julian's saying. He's saying this is not what he likes. But if it's fraud, okay, then that would be illegal, and Jay Morrison is under his everything that he does in that fund. You got to realize, guys, this is absolute. Well, see now, I mean, people can say it's a Ponzi. It's not a Ponzi scheme unless the SEC likes Ponzi schemes. If the SEC, approves Ponzi schemes, then that's what you want to call it. See, that's what I'm saying. This is what people just say stuff, and then everybody's thinking that. But what a lot of folks are not understanding is this is business. It's a business dispute. This is a regulated fund. What this man is doing, he's expressing his disagreement, and this is how you do it. Because black folks don't have mainstream media like Kudlow and Kramer or like these other Bloomberg, all of these different regulated agencies, they are focused in media groups. They're focused on the white business community. And they will, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play what Boyce said. Boyce Watkins had a good response here. So this guy asked Boyce Watkins a question. Ryan Mathis, he said, Boyce, it's such a shame that you call out white companies, but you won't call out scammers like Jay Morrison. You should be sued right with him. See, this is showing you that, like I said, I play it. And so sometimes it doesn't matter what the facts are. People just feel. They just think what they feel. Like I said, I haven't played you the people up in Stanford. They're saying that 60% to 75% of these venture capitalist companies, they fail. They're not scams. You got to realize the money is in the success. There's way more money in success than failure. That's what the problem people not understand. It's very tough to understand because if you have that's why they call it an accredited investor. If you're not, that's why they don't even allow certain people to invest. It's because they know that you're not used to this. And if you lose some money, then you're going to have this normal reaction. I'm going to go back to this video real quick. I just want to show that. This is the thing that I'm trying to get. That's the only reason why I really keep, it looks like I'm defending Jay. I'm not actually defending Jay Morrison because he is mismanaging. He's failing, but he didn't fraud you. That's the problem. That's the difference. He fails. He is failing. I want to show this. Let's see. Right here, this man tells you.
So you have an affirmative obligation to disclose everything. So unless there's some sort of checklist the SEC can provide saying, if you go through this checklist, then you're protected against liability, then I don't see why any good company would use it because they might have directors sitting on their board.
Hold on, I'm trying to see something here. Trying to wait till... Anyway, but they basically say that 75...
Both of you are very proud of the opportunity.
Basically 60 to 75% of these venture capitalist companies, they fail. These are very seasoned investors. They know what they're looking for. And they still invest in companies, and most of the companies fail. They lose money. But it's set up in such a way that after, if 2 or 3 of the companies succeed, it's so much money, it makes up for all the failures. So Jay knows that. Everybody knows that. Do you understand the $12 million and $200,000 and all that kind of stuff is nothing compared to the money that you can attract if you had a successful real estate fund? $50, $100 million. If he can make that fund grow, let's say if he had that fund at $10 million, and then it grew up to, $18 million, $20 million. You know how much more money people be like, well, shoot, I'm investing in that. Because now you can brag. Now you can brag. Look at that. See these people here, the energy companies. They're bragging. We invested 117,302,500. You know, they give you all the way down to the exact dollar. And they just updated it today. That is the actual number. And they get a rate of return at 12.35%. So these are the kind of, and this is real estate, S&P 500. This is a crowd fund. It's big money in success. So this man is just failing because you're talking about stealing. He's just failing. The man doesn't have the experience. That's all. But the issue that I need black folks to see is there was nobody that had this experience. There was nobody in the black community that, who you name anybody, there's nobody that set this kind of fund up to buy and invest and build on the black people's community. Now, outside funds are buying our communities, but there's nothing we're controlling. So my thing is this. True enough, the man's a failure. I mean, we're going to work with it, but I'm saying that we have to look at this type of situation and not say, oh, we'll never do this again. But we're going to say, okay, we need better standards. You want to invest, you want to try this in a better manner. Okay, we want to do it this way. We want to work with somebody who has this level of education. Right. He's using the money for himself, but the thing is, though, you know, that's actually, you know, how a lot of these companies do, because the money, actually, he's not using it straight for himself like that. Excuse me. He's renting. What he's doing is he has another business, right? His main business is his education, financial education. He rents space inside of the property. He pays rent to the fund. But what he's doing is giving himself a lower interest rate than market. I mean, that's what you want to say. That's what we're accusing him of. We can say all kind of stuff. He probably doing that. We don't know. This is what we're thinking, because there's certain information that's not going to be released. That's with any company. They're not going to just let you just come in and just destroy them with information. They're not going to just do that. I don't know what people think. And like if you go to Ford Motor Company and ask them to, you know, show us all your books, you got to get a court order to get that done. So that only thing I'm saying is we got to start getting understanding, like, okay, if this man is doing something wrong, we need to, that's why you have this. You don't necessarily want to destroy, because a lot of times our answer is to destroy everything. Oh, the guy did something wrong, destroy everything. You're not going to have nothing like that. What Julian is doing, he's actually saying, here's a set of solutions. This is what I'm thinking. This is what it looks like you're doing.
With transactional funding, $1 million would have to be loaned at 26% every 90 days for 8 consecutive quarters or 2 years to recoup the $7.4 million loss in value, just to get us back to break even, assuming that expenses, which is primarily people, are cut drastically. To put that into context, Warren Buffett multiplies money at around 18% per year. So the transactional funding business is not likely to hit a 26% return quarterly. My efforts. I hate offering feedback or criticism without seeking to be part of the solution. As after seeing the fund struggle coming out of COVID, I brought the fund 2 major deals. One, I brought Chris Senegal's deal in Houston to Jay Morrison, and he declined it, saying that Chris and his team could not meet the terms, our terms. I then personally filled the gap and became the lead investor in Chris's fund. Chris just cashed me out and 30 other investors out of that deal with a 20% return over 2 years as of July 2023. The second deal, I brought Booker T. Washington's Techie Home deal to Jay Morrison in January of 2023. Again, Jay said that Booker T and Techie Homes could not meet our terms. Again, I then filled the gap with my own personal money and raised additional money totaling $4 million from a few hundred investors to fill the gap. Chris Senegal and Booker T. Washington fit the exact mission of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund and are two of the best developers in the South. I personally was and am the lead investor in both of those deals. I've single-handedly become the bank that Treff was supposed to be, with less capital to invest and zero expenses related to these transactions. How is that so? How, Sway? I believe that the reason that the terms were not favorable in Jay Morrison's eyes is because the cash would be tied up in actual real estate deals, and that would not leave enough cash to siphon off for his own pocket in terms of management fees annually until the fund is actually bankrupt. I've also rented the Legacy Center once for an event.
So what he's saying here, is real plausible. He's saying that Jay is saying that he's done with this. He's actually alleging that Jay Morrison is like, these niggas have, or these people have really messed me up, or they're never happy with nothing that I do. That basically I'm just gonna siphon this off until it's bankrupt. And then when it goes bankrupt, I'm going to say, guys, look at this. It's over. It failed. Boom. We tried. So that's what he's saying. He's saying that you're not financing deals that will pay you back. Because if you finance the deals, it's going to be tied up in deals, not available for you to get a management fee. So, that's what he's alleging. Now, is it true or not? It sounds very plausible, but there's a lot of people alleging stuff. They're just saying it though. When you say something though, you want to kind of be, you don't just want to throw something out because it sounds like that to you. You want to kind of think about like, okay, here's why that's true.
To try to circulate money into that particular business. Now, beyond bringing sweet deals to the table, I don't know how else to help the fund from a distance. Jay Morrison.
He's also hinting that he could take over the fund. This man has been reported. See, this is what I'm saying, Brother Speed. This is normal. This is why I keep saying this here. What we're doing online, what you're doing is normal. This is business. It's just that it feels new because Black folks are not used to this. Look at the Bloomberg channel. Look at the financial channel. Look at these regulated funds. Look at the arguments that happen in these companies. It's not a Ponzi scheme, James. A Ponzi scheme, it lies. It pays earlier investors with new money it brings in. That's not what's happening with Tulsa. So it's not a Ponzi scheme. But see, the thing is, when people just throw stuff out there, then somebody's going to say, oh, it's the same. It's not. Well, but I'm saying this is not a Ponzi scheme. Of course, there's people in Ponzi schemes. But this is not a Ponzi scheme. This is a government regulated fund. It's just being mismanaged. Crying online is a complaint that's equal to a complaint. This is what you're supposed to do. But we don't have a regulated body that is not like a Michi X or a Tone Talks. Somebody who's out for just blood. You don't have a real body of regulation who actually cares. Okay, we do want successful businesses, but we have to kind of protect the people. So there's a fine line there. Okay. So and you got to make it for the fine line for it's a balance between business and and regulation. It's always been this debate, this challenge. This is what we're experiencing. And I'm gonna play what Boyce is gonna say, and then we're gonna get out of here because I just want to put this out here. And some of y'all are just like, I ain't dealing with none of it because it's easy to run away. That is not the answer either, because somebody's going to deal with this. There's some groups. This is the reason why we don't control our hair care products industries. This is the reason why we don't control even the soaps and waters and soaps and products that we buy in our communities. We got Arabs coming into our communities selling us stuff. They do all the hard work of supplying us with what we should have. It's because it's like it's always somebody else's job to deal with the hard part, to deal with the problems. No, this is stuff that we got to deal with. You don't just oh, it's easier to just destroy. Because you destroy everybody, then you might go just because some people probably had a problem, you don't let the problem work itself out. This is business.
In the chat, and Ryan Mathis, I'm not going to call you a hater yet, Ryan, because I want you to get a chance to speak your piece, because I know Ryan's talking about something that's really intriguing right now, which is the Tulsa Real Estate Fund, and I want to kind of lay this out here so we can kind of understand what we're dealing with, what we're up against in terms.
Now, like I said before, Boyce Watkins actually is a PhD. He's actually taught at colleges for multiple years. He's taught high-level economics to world people, macro and microeconomics. And he's also a successful businessman. If you listen to Boyce's stuff, it's very easy. That's why people laugh at Boyce. It's because he's very accessible and his strategy is so easy that we think it's dumb. But do you know how many people ain't doing this stuff that he's telling you? He's telling you save $5 a day for each one of your kids, and they're gonna have an opportunity to be a millionaire. Invest in the stock market and make sure you buy at least 30 companies, and just keep putting the money in. $5 a day, $5 a day. Oh, that's stupid. The people who've done that is gonna make the money. I mean, it's really easy, but because he's so close to easy for black folks to talk about it. He talks about Lizzo and he talks about other stuff, and we see his mistakes and we see some of his, successes. Then, we don't listen to people because we don't like them versus the advice that they're saying and the information. The information it doesn't matter who repeats the information. So here we go. Boyce is a PhD.
I've been doing this 25 years. I'm not a fly-by-night Negro. I didn't just hop on the internet the other day. And I want to address, first of all, the tone of the question tells me that you're not really trying to answer the question as much as you're trying to express a frustration you have or some energy that you have. So what I'm going to do, first of all, is say, bring different energy when you're talking about things like this. What he's talking about is the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. This is very important. So let me just talk about this real quick because I think it's fun to hit these things. So it says, Boyce, it's such a shame that you called out white companies, but you won't call out scammers like Jay Morrison. You should be sued right with him. Well, in case y'all are wondering what's going on here, he's talking about the fact that the Tulsa Real Estate Fund is under some fire because there are some questions that the Tulsa Fund is being asked to answer. Julian Gordon is a guy that is leading that charge. I have supported dozens and dozens and dozens of Black-owned businesses. 86% of Black-owned businesses fail. But I remember I met Julian and Jay in the same year, and I supported both of these guys as they were trying to build their platforms because that's what I was supposed to do. And so these are two people that I know very, very well. And so as a result of this,
So you need to understand that Boyce Watkins, see, people want to like Julian because they hate Jay. And then they want to hate Boyce because he talked to Jay. But Boyce, he actually exposed Julian and Jay Morrison. He brought both of them they were both doing their own thing. Julian wasn't doing real estate as much as he was doing other businesses at that moment. But you know, Boyce brings a lot of people. He brought weirdos like Michi X and Yvette Carnell out. Those are failures. So I don't understand what people, the way Boyce operates, he sees that things just needs to be mixed up and he starts bringing folks out. He don't know what they're going to do. He's not in control of these people. He's just showing you, okay, this person, this individual thing this person's doing is that. It is what it is, but let's keep going.
I really want to lay out here is this is the kind of energy, the way Ryan lays out this question, this is the energy that isn't necessary to resolve a business dispute. There are appropriate ways to handle a conflict, and there are inappropriate, perhaps almost like slave culture ways to handle a conflict, right? So for you to say something like that, you should be sued with him. Why? How many of you, give me a yes if you heard me, or if you are hearing me now, when I tell you, I have never been paid to sponsor or represent the Tulsa Fund in any way. I have not been paid. I simply believe in Black-owned businesses, and when brothers are trying to build something, I say, okay, you know what? How can I help? That's what I do. Now, if I had been a paid endorser, I would have done a couple of things. Number one.
Well, and that's a fair question. That's my point, Brother Speak. We're making decisions of business with emotion, too much emotion. Now, of course, you can't separate all emotion, but the point is, Boyce is a PhD in finance. He's actually rich. Okay? This is what people are. See, when we don't like somebody, we throw all the other stuff out so we can think what we want to think. The man is rich. He's independently rich. He's not, you know, working for another company. He's educating people, and he knows how to run platforms. He runs business. He makes investments. He's married. They hate him because he proposed to his wife on TV and or internet, and they call him a simp. And he talked about Kwame Brown, and he talks about social commentary. We think education, right? I mean, we think education is just numbers and book stuff and accounting because that's what the schools taught us it was being. This man is telling you that your habits, your culture is actually what makes you money. That's what makes you money. That's what keeps you money. So he's actually talking about social commentary because that's actually what takes a lot of our money out of our pocket. So that's all I'm saying. And he's, you know, so people hate Boyce Watkins. And so everything he says, of course, they're going to try to throw it away because they want to catch him in stuff that he does wrong. But, you know, I don't think this is wrong. Even, you know, it's not wrong. You have to put these things out there and let the chips fall where they may. So let me finish.
I would have probably put myself on a board of directors to come in and make sure that everything looked the way I needed it to look. The Tulsa Fund doesn't have a board. So if you're an investor in the Tulsa Fund, you should talk to them about that. Second of all, I would have let everybody know that, look, if you invest in this thing or anything, do never put your last nickel into an investment. Do not ever do that. Do not, if you're saying, no, I put my last $500 in there, that is a violation of investing rules that I've shared with you all on this platform. I've explained to you that when you invest, you diversify. Do not ever invest money that you cannot afford to lose. Number three, I would say this. Give me a yes if you're hearing this. Did you heard me say this a million times? I do not give investing advice on this channel. Do you understand that? Or is everybody hearing this? This is not investing advice. Now, I'll tell you guys what I'm invested in. I tell you, if you want to get profit alerts, you go to boycewatkins.com. I'll tell you what stocks I like in the moment, but I do not give investing advice specifically for this reason, because I don't need somebody coming back and saying, oh, I invested in this thing and it didn't work out and it's your fault. No, do your due diligence. And if you don't understand it or you're not comfortable with it, then you should not do it. So what I will say to you is that, you know, when you're talking about a Black-owned business or building a Black community and building businesses in your community, you have to understand that there are appropriate ways. And I talk about this a lot in my book, The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. This is based on financial scientific research. I've taught at the University of Kentucky, Indiana University, Syracuse University, the Ohio State University. I've been teaching college students finance since 1993. Ryan may not have even been born in 1993. So I do know what I'm talking about, even when I'm not 100% correct about everything. And one thing I'll tell you is that part of the reason that your community's businesses don't grow is not just because you don't support each other appropriately. It's also because you don't handle disputes appropriately. The appropriate way to handle disputes, let me explain this. What's happening with the Tulsa Fund happens all the time in the white community. It happens all the time right now with Disney. They have an activist investor who's doing pretty much the same thing that Jay and Julian are doing right now. They're coming in, they're saying, you spent, it wasn't a couple $1 million, it was billions. It's like 10, 20, $30 billion. And he's saying, you're wasting the money, you're mismanaging the funds, this is nonsense. And what they're doing is they're demanding a board seat. They're not coming in and saying, you should liquidate the company's garbage, everybody is trash. They're saying, this is what we need you to do to right the ship. So what I would say to anybody that invested in that fund or any business is don't just think about.
But see, that's what I just want to stop real quick on that point. You can tell a real critic, a true solutions-based critic, because they always have an actual answer that will that is not just put everybody in jail and dissolve everything. See, when you, like, for example, Wells Fargo had that fraud that happened. They didn't just go in there and destroy Wells Fargo and fire everybody and put them all on the street and destroy all Wells Fargo. That's not how you do it. That's what he's saying. You're not handling disputes properly. You know, you got, the way you take care of business is you see a problem, you fix that issue. They may need to add a board. They may need to, you know, come up with some other way, switch the fund manager. That's what it sounds like Julian wants to do. He wants to be in on the decision-making process. That's what's happening. That's the kind of debate that you have. That's how you control it. Whereas you're not destroying all the investments, you're not doing everything. Yeah, they didn't pay me. They mismanaged some of my money. So they paid taxpayers, but they mismanaged they charged or overcharging people for little stupid fees and all kind of crap. Anyway, but you know, these are lessons, like serious. These are serious lessons. People just throw their hands up and walk away, but this is the gate that you have to climb over to gain control. You have to climb this hurdle, this financial hurdle. You got to climb this gate, this hardship. You got to go through this process to start getting more control of where you live and more control of your culture. Your culture is controlled by money.
How you support each other, but think about how you handle disputes. Because if you handle disputes in an inappropriate and destructive way, then you're going to end up having significant problems. Now, Ryan makes another good point. He says, you had Jay on your show multiple times. I have had many people on my show multiple times. I did not market the fund. I was not a paid endorser of this fund. I want to make that clear. You don't want to be held accountable. I hope all the investors include you in the lawsuit. Well, if they do, then that's fine. But the reality is that I've had hundreds of people on this platform. I had Yvette Carnell on my platform hundreds of times. I do not endorse what Yvette Carnell is doing. I think Yvette Carnell is not a good leader. I think she ruined the ADOS movement. So one of the things you got to stop doing here, and if you say something else that's not true, you're going to have to go, is don't believe stuff just because you see it on the internet. Because one of the big problems that you have, and this is important too, to grow an economy requires certain levels of trust. And the problem that you have in the Black community, the reason that your economies cannot grow is because nobody trusts anybody. Everybody calls each other a crook and a scammer and this and that and the other. And that sort of nonsense is exactly the type of stuff that allows white people to come in and scoop up all your money. They take billions because you're sitting here spending your whole life obsessed with one Black guy that you think got a couple $1 million out of the community. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm not saying that accountability isn't called for, but what I am saying to you is that I personally cannot tell you that I understand the inner workings of the businesses of every single person I've ever had on this platform. I do take full responsibility for my businesses. I do take full responsibility for my team. I do take full responsibility for the millions of dollars that I've used to support people like Dr. Claude Anderson, support King Randall School, Freedom Home Academy International in Chicago. I take responsibility for the things that I've supported and endorsed in a sort of paid way or whatever the case may be. But I cannot take responsibility for the inner workings of every business of every person who's ever been on this page. Give me a yes if you understand what I'm saying here, right? I'm not saying you have to agree. I'm just saying that it's and I.
So boys basically addressed it. I mean, and really and truly, it's so stupid, but that just shows you the level of ignorance that people got, and that's fine. It's just ignorance, though. Doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means that we are not used to this. We think that we put some money in. We like go to the store. We think that this is like Walmart or Burger King. I paid my $5.99. Give me my Big Mac. That's how we think this stuff works. No. Investment, you lose money most of the times, and then you can do all your due diligence. You can do all your fact checking. This could be a real good person. That person can go in and try everything that they know how to do, and then thing just collapse. And most of the time, it's not going to work. But for those few times it do work, for those times it does work, it actually so much money that is generated from a success because it's generated for so long that it will make up for all the failures. So making money off of wars they created. I mean, they making money off of wars. Somebody's making money off of wars. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. Yeah, but the point is, like, I just wanted to put that out there. And actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna show. Let me see. Let me find this fool. I just wanted to show because anytime you're suffering, your enemies are gonna gloat. So I know Michi and who else is out here? Somebody's out here gloating. Let me see what they. And of course, everybody's talking about the white supremacist guy. I'm gonna go over some other stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on. It's horrible weathers. There's just a lot of crazy stuff going on nowadays. I like to talk about actual stuff that's happening, and it's that actually will affect the power of the people to actually control and take care of themselves. Let me see here. Here it is.
Hey y'all, so I'm back because y'all was talking shit, right? So I want to say something that I didn't say. So now I'm finna go all the way in. Y'all is mad this morning. I went to sleep and people making posts and y'all tagging me in it. I'm a hater and shit now. So let's be clear, right? The point that I was making yesterday for you slow niggas and all of y'all that went to the Invest Fest, right? You shouldn't be a slow nigga because remember they helped you change your mindset. So you should have a motherfucking brain to think. The point that was being made yesterday and what I said is that in the community, it's not about whether they had to pay for speakers or they had a conference, okay? I had to pay for my speakers too. The point that I am making is that we will invest and not talk shit and spend money on stuff that is shiny, flashy, and makes us feel good for the moment, but we complain and don't have any fucking patience or any money to support the things that are actually doing something to change the Black community. That was the point of it. You niggas spent all that money to go there. Why? Because you wanted to stand next to the entertainers that they had. You wanted to be in the room with special people. Like, y'all really needed Steve Harvey to come on stage and tell you the same shit this nigga say online that you can probably catch any given day on a YouTube video somewhere on somebody's Instagram. You really paid all that money just to...
Yeah, so I mean, there's some people like Michi X, so but people are listening to this woman for financial. I'm not even showing her video because ugh. But the point is, my thing is this, guys, this is not the end of the world. You observe, you learn. You should be invested in something. If you don't like something, you should not invest in it. But the point is, when people, like I said, I showed these other investments, is this is not a hard window to get to. Actually, hold on a second. This is not a hard level to get to. When I show these little crowd funds, these other crowd funds, we can get to this. I mean, just imagine if you just raised up this 117 million. The black folks can do that easy. You know how easy it would be to raise $100 million. Let's say in 1 year, 16. I think it's like what, 16 cents. Let me see. Get my calculator out. 16 million people that's working times I think, let's say 30 cents a week. Well, 30 cents a day. I would just say, let's just say $5 a week. I'm gonna do that. Okay. Let's see. I'm missing a point. $5 a week. That's 52 weeks. Dang, that's $4 billion. That's too much. I went over that. Do you know how much? Look, $5 a week times 16 million people in 1 year is $4,160,000. You wouldn't even miss that. Y'all wouldn't even miss it. It's so easy to raise large sums of money when you have crowd funds, but you have to develop the leadership that is able to properly and effectively manage this stuff. It takes experience. Nobody's going to teach you in a class somewhere how to do this for your people. You got to have the patience. You got to go through the trial and error to find these type of people, to find these teams who can actually crowdfund, manage the money of our community so that we can control it and better direct it. Right now, we don't have people with the hands-on skill to actually do that. And, that's the reason why, we have to have stuff like Tulsa so that we can learn these lessons the hard way. We're just going to have to learn the hard way. But that doesn't mean we stop investing, stop trying to learn, because one of these things will be successful. So anyway, that's kind of what I wanted to do. Thanks, James, speech, BMT. Y'all came up. If y'all see this, make sure you share it and let me know what you think. Thanks for everybody in the chat. James was active in the chat, running through. But yeah, really soon we'll go through. Make sure y'all check this other video out I put in there. Tell me what y'all think about that. The medical industry. See, all of this stuff, it hinges on your resources. You don't have the resources to fund your own hospitals. You don't have the resources. You got to manage this stuff. It takes integrity. It takes all sorts of business and financial knowledge, and it takes a love for the community that you're actually serving. This is what we have. These are the type of leaderships you have to develop. This is why I can't stand when black folks say, "Oh, we don't need no leaders." No, yes, you do. You need leadership in every category. You need leaders. Stop saying you don't need a leader. You need leadership. You need financial leaderships. You need political leaderships. You need activism leadership, all sorts of stuff. But they have to be authentic, and the integrity must be there so that the best effort can be made. So peace out. Yeah. We got to see. We could, and that's so sad. We could talk about stuff like that, but maybe we should have a conversation a little bit later. Hopefully y'all will kind of research into this and look into this. And then maybe, we could actually talk more about it. and have an actual conversation on this thing. I was trying to find that other brother's page, but I'll find it and maybe I'll invite him too. Because I mean, nobody's going to agree, but at the same time, there's some basics that we got to agree. If you stop investing in people, I don't know how else we can develop the type of people that can actually successfully manage large hundreds of millions of dollars in resources. You, who who's going to educate them to do that? How's that going to actually happen? Because once they go to college, why should they come work with black folks? They're going to go work with Wall Street. So I'm trying to understand, like, what do we expect? When you gotta, if you don't have the patience to develop your people, your leadership in these different categories, how do you think, this is large money. This is big money. So just like when Julian was talking about how Jay, once he started realizing that, oh, it's legal for me to put my business in here, and I can pay rent to the fund that I control, and I can lower my rent because I control the fund to my business. Oh, okay. Right. Yeah, but what I'm saying is, but even if Jay did start off with a good mentality, once that money start coming in and you start getting that knowledge and ability and the power that you can start manipulating all of the different boxes, and it's illegal for you to do this because you are the fund manager, it's very difficult for people not to do stuff like that because it's legal. That's what we need to understand. Like, so, okay, but we do need to expose it and criticize it, which is what Julian's doing. But if we was to put Julian in that situation and he didn't have anybody holding him accountable, you're going to do it too. Just imagine how much, how easy that would be. Oh, I got the hookup. I'm running this person for mayor. Now my boy's the mayor. He's going to hook this up for me. We're going to give him a sweet deal on this rent. And, because we control this, we control that. That's what's happening. That's all what's happening. So you got to have these checks and balances. That's why the corporate structure is so important. The corporate structures are supposed to reduce and increase accountability so that the actual intention of the business or endeavor is going to stay focused and not the petty concerns of just that particular leadership. So, and this is the reason why you have a lot of these corporations have these big golden parachutes. It's because it's so easy for them to do the fraud. So what the company does is just give them a whole bunch of $1 million anyway. Like, dude, you don't have to fraud the company because you are in a position where you can easily redirect and control. So we're just going to just give you all the money you want anyway. So just run the business properly. That's what they're doing. That's why these corporate CEOs and AIG and all of these banks, they get $100 million just to quit. They get this $300 million or what have you. They make so much money because it's like, basically they're saying, just so that I will be, loyal to the business and what's going on with our business, just pay me off real good. See, so this is the levels that we're getting into, but if we choose to walk away from this type of conversation, this type of endeavor, then that's what Boyce says. That's the reason why the white people just come in there and they just, you're gonna need tissue, you're gonna need to live somewhere, so they'll just take all your money, fund it, overcharge you, interest and all sorts of stuff. move you out when they don't want you there no more. You know, all sorts of stuff. So, you know, that's the conversation that we're actually having. This is where this leads to. So anyway, peace out, everybody. I'm gone. Thanks for coming through. It is what it is.